Hello, hello. Welcome back to another FEM Talk Tuesday. How you doing out there at FEM Talk Nation? We are here and I am going to bring in Dr. Melissa Mimi Simmons.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. And you know what? I think we need to make an introduction just on Mimi, right? People hear us say Mimi all the time, and I always introduce you that way. But she is beloved by all of her friends, and we started the name Mimi just because we love her so much. So when you hear us say Dr. Mimi Melissa Simmons, that is why.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I'm a lover of nicknames because I think when you get a nickname, it kind of shows how what it's endearing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That people love you, and I love the name Mimi. So there's always when I hear it, it's like oh love.
Yeah. It's my Melissa. That's what it stands for.
Yes.
So, everybody out there, before we talk about our hot topic, we just wanted to share one of the best events that happened this past weekend. Woo woo! Another
Whoop,
one in the
whoop.
record books for Dr. Melissa Simmons. The Girl Bossed Up Women's Leadership Summit happened this weekend. So, I want you to speak first about, just how you felt, what the takeaways from the women. Talk about it.
OMG. Let me start by saying the summit had the best speakers ever, ever. We had Coach Reset Tracy. I was talking like we had Coach Reset Tracy. We had Coach Cassandra Davis, and we had professional educator Charlene Blunt, and we had co-host Shima Shishi Stroud, and just the coming together of these powerful women was extraordinary. The in I think people, Tracy, thought that if you were there, you would thought we coordinated everything we said
Yeah.
because it was so interwoven. Who would thought that, what, because Coach Cassandra, Coach Cass, we love Cass. What she was said would then turn into what would just move right into what Miss Charlene would say, and then what you was said, and then it just all came together.
Yeah.
And one of the comments I got was one person said, I've been to conferences before, I've been to women's events before. Never have I been so impacted by
Mm,
an 8 hour event than the Girl Bossed Up Women's Leadership Summit.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that spoke volumes to me
Yeah.
because in my heart, that's what I wanted. Like them, I've been to things before, and really have left without feeling like I've received something.
Yeah.
And the first tears is always a sign to me that something is being there's transactional,
Yeah.
impact being made.
Yeah.
But let me say this. Coach Cass, she talked about lions and tigers and bears. Like one of the comments I got, I will never look at the Wizard of Oz the same way ever.
Exactly.
Her
Exactly.
to
Me either, for that matter.
Right. I mean, what she was able to bring out from leadership
Yeah.
out of that, using that example of the Wizard of Oz, was just tremendous. But let me say this about you before I get to Charlene. There was a moment when, and this was the moment for me, and you got on your knees, Coach Tracy, and you threw your hands up. And when I tell you, I jumped up
Mm,
because I felt the power of the yield. Coach Tracy was talking about, just yielding to allow God to use you.
mm,
And Tracy, when you dropped on your knees, when I tell you this, the atmosphere, the shift in the atmosphere by
mm,
what it was bringing about was absolutely tremendous. I still get chills just in that moment because
mm.
it was so powerful. when I tell you I jumped on my feet, I jumped on my feet
Mm,
because it was the impact. It was just tremendous. And I just, I applaud the how you bring the whole body, the whole person into your messages is just tremendous,
mm.
tremendous.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
it was, and then I am her, um, Coach Charlene, mentor Charlene, I am her. That resonated with so many people. But if you were there, there was, and people, it was a women's leadership summit. We had one gentleman in the room.
Yeah.
He was, I am him, I am him. And he talked to me this weekend. He said, Dr. Simmons, this was the what he received just for leadership. He said he would come again and again and again. And if you're out there and leadership and you lead people, I can't tell you how these summits have, transformed so many leaders. I
Yes.
spoke to one of the superintendents of the women that came, and he says, "Yeah, I feel their difference. I feel the
Mm.
energy in the office already. You know what I'm saying?"
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about making leaders. But I don't want to take up all the time. What was your takeaways?
Oh gosh, there were so many. One was just the synergy that you mentioned earlier, right? It's just
Yeah.
amazing how God moves through us. And I think that's our connection too, right? So one was the synergy. But I have to tell you, you had me like this the whole time you were speaking. I was like,
Mm.
ooh, ooh, it was like point after point. I don't know if you can see me, but I was on the edge of my seat. Like I was like, okay, she is here to bring it today. And I could not, I was so engaged that I could not take my eyes off you. I was just like, ooh, ooh, it was so powerful. And I love the way you came in to
Mm.
the people and you started to speak about stories. Even if it wasn't their personal story, it was something that resonated with everyone.
Yes.
Oh man, that was powerful. It was powerful. But the whole event at the I am her, the flags with
Woo!
colorful tribes and having people describe, their tribe and their colors and why they
Yes.
felt the way that they did. I
Yes.
loved that Shar brought. And then, we got to talk about the lions and tigers and bears because like you, I will never, I will never think about that movie the same way ever again. And actually, I want to go back and watch it now and just think about all of the
Yes.
points that Kaz was giving, about being able to understand that the courage, the heart, it's all already right
Well, it's
here.
all there. It's all there.
Yeah,
And I think that, and the blessing was, when you get, that was the theme
yeah,
to become the leader I know I'm meant to be.
yeah,
So you're meant to be something you already know that's inside of you. How do you pull it out? And
yeah,
Cass, Charlene, everybody pulled it out.
yeah.
It was it was reinforced just the whole day. And I would be so remiss if I didn't mention how, Coach Shima would just jump in and give her, when she explained the whole piece about the colors and how
Mm-hmm.
the colors spoke
Mm-hmm.
to her and what they meant for her. I think the light bulb went off with so many other women in the room
Yeah,
that, okay, I get it. I get it.
yeah,
And it was when I was speaking to mentor Charlene, she was telling me she didn't know she was explaining it right.
mm-hmm.
So when she would kind of came and just by the synergy was so on point that when she
Yeah,
just came and shared it, it was like home run, home run.
yeah. It's like
And
she gave you these pictures in your mind where you could just see,
yes,
okay, this is what I want to do. This is the
this
type
is
of tribe I want. Yeah, it was good. It was just
and even
amazing.
when she that rawness that she brought in sharing her testimony, I
Mm-hmm.
remember when she started talking, I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, okay, 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 we're there,
yeah,
and so many people it resonated like, oh, okay, I could, because one of the concerns that many women have and come into these atmospheres is, can I be me? Can I
Mm,
trust the atmosphere? Can
yeah.
I release to the point where I could truly receive? So many people don't receive in those atmospheres because they can't trust the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But
I think the key part of that too is, and the trust is because it's welcoming. You
yeah,
know, it's the
mhm,
arms are open as soon as you come in the door.
yeah,
So it's the atmosphere that you create that allows them to feel safe while they're
yeah,
there. And I think as the day, and you feel it from the moment you walk in, but I think as the day progresses too, and they start to engage, and then they start to get these aha moments, and then they start to
yes,
cry, right? Because some people cry, but I think it's so welcoming.
yeah,
And that's what you want to do, right? You want to bring people in first, and you want to
yes.
let them know that they're safe, and that's what the summit does. So yeah, it was just amazing. Listen, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking
Me
forward to
too.
the next one.
Me too. I
Yeah,
am. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about it. But
yeah,
thank you from the bottom of my heart, Coach Tracy, Coach Cass, mentor and professional educator Charlene, and Coach Shima. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to join forces, arms and link arms with me to have done this. And
yeah,
it goes without saying. Our coordinator, my manager, Lamont Simmons. Kudos to my boo. He had it on lock all day, and I just love him for it. I love him for it. And what can we say about our producer? Once again, Nick Sims. Nick Sims is the truth.
yes,
He's the truth. He how he paid attention to everyone's details to make sure your segment came, you had everything you needed for your segment. I mean, I can't say enough. There's so many thanks just going around the room.
yeah,
Sharon Ken McFarland for allowing us to be in their home like that. Once again, helping to your point, helping to create the atmosphere. I mean, just that alone, to be up in the mountains with that beautiful atmosphere was just amazing. And then, Shirley Simmons coming and doing her thing with the cooking. I mean, it was a nothing missing. The food was good. The
the
drinks were good.
food was so
I mean,
good.
it was so good.
I'm,
They was
I'm
trying to
waiting for
hire
Sister
her.
Shirley to come to Charlotte because that food,
What? I mean, they
food
were
was so
trying to
good.
hire her. They said, "Oh no, oh no." But it was. I mean, the whole day there was nothing missing. Nothing. I don't even think people realized it was 5 o'clock when it was like, "Okay, time to go." That's
Yeah,
how good it was. That's how good it was, and that's what you
yeah,
want. So,
yeah.
yay!
Yay! So another one in the record books. Listen, stay tuned, everyone, for what's coming next from Girl Bossed Up. You can go to drmelissasimmons.com and you can engage there and just, look for notices of the
Yes,
next, the next.
the next.
Yes, absolutely. So, listen, we want to just tell everybody out there, if you have a burning question that you want to ask Fem Talk, we want to make sure that you get your question answered. If you're looking for an opinion, you want some insight, we've got you covered. Send us an email to femtalktv@gmail.com and we will share your question on the next episode. And for today, it's mm, mm,
I
mm.
love it.
All
Love
right.
it. Love it.
I know. It
Love it.
says,
Love it. Love it.
I'm starting to feel like I'm getting left behind in life. I know everyone's time is their own, but it's hard to see my friends getting married, buying houses, having children, dream,
Mm.
careers, etc., without feeling like I should be there. I'm happy for them, but it's hard. What should I do? This is a
Oh,
great question.
great question.
So I'm gonna say to this person, you got to come to the next summit. That's number one. Um, right? Because these are the things that get answered and explored when you lock arms with other women. But Dr.
Yes.
Melissa, take it away.
It's funny because somebody at the summit came up with a similar, concern.
Mhm.
And I would say, don't worry about it. I got you. And I think that comes with, and I think we all feel this. So let's just start there. I think we all experience this, where it doesn't matter. You feel like there's a point in your life where where am I? What
Mhm.
am I doing? I feel lost. I expressed to the woman from the summit, and I'll say this to the person that asked the question. I was in quote unquote my best job ever, and I felt lost.
Mm.
Lost is not a feeling of what you got. It's a feeling of not being able to connect on a passionate level, the connection of what you're doing to what you want to do. So that is really where that lost feeling comes from, is that you don't see like your sense of purpose, like what am I here to do? So tapping into your passion becomes premium in anyone's life, knowing what you are good at, expressing that passion you have for what you're good at, for what you do well, for
Yeah.
what you can stay up. The key is always, you see it in so many business books, and you've heard people talk about it. If I could stay up all night doing this, I will stay up doing this. Those
Hmm.
are the things that you need to connect to, so that you get that sense of fulfillment. Because let me say this, don't think that being married, having children, having the perfect job is going to make you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
That, all these things are things that you may want, and they're wonderful things to have. I've been married, I have my children, but that does not bring a level of I'm good, everything's perfect in my life. Because at the end of the day, as people, as humans, we all want to express the passions in our heart.
Yeah.
So one thing I would encourage the person to ask the question is to really focus on what that means for you. What how do you get to that essence of who you are?
Yeah.
And what I also am a believer of is that time things will come together.
Yeah.
I remember um my dad, for instance, he was married 3 times in his life. You know what I'm saying? And his second, which was not my mom, his second marriage was the love of his life, and um, and that was only for a short period of time in comparison, because
Hmm.
life has a way of, with all of us, life has seasons. So in some seasons things happen, and in other seasons other things happen. So
Yeah.
I think what you need to do as a person is enjoy every season you're in.
Yeah.
Every season you
Absolutely.
get, find the passion in the season and enjoy it. Because
Absolutely.
life
Yeah.
changes.
Hmm.
Nothing stays the same.
Hmm.
If you have children, even if you're married, that does not guarantee happiness. It doesn't guarantee joy. When
Yeah.
you're filled on the inside, that's where joy and happiness comes from.
Yeah. And I want to say too, just to piggyback off of, because I agree with everything that you said, I want to piggyback off of that to say, ask yourself first the question, do I want all of these things because it's what society says I need? Or because I think the people around me are happy in doing what they're doing? Because you don't even know what level of happiness or joy that the people around you actually have with all of these things.
Ooh.
I want you to examine, why are you feeling like you need these things, and really take a really deep look in to see if it's something that you really desire or it's something that you think you should have. That's number 1. Number 2 is life is a voyage. And I would
Mm,
say, as Dr. Melissa was talking about your passions, go on an exploration and figure out what those passions are. And if you get to one and then you figure out that that is not exactly what I want to do, figure out how to shift, because it is
mm,
okay to make a move. Giving my own life as an example, I shifted after 40 years old. And I'm so glad I did. And listen, the timing was the timing that was right for me. But I can tell you, I went by everything that you said in this question first, except for the marriage part. I didn't do that part. But I did have my beautiful son and I had an amazing career, but I was not fulfilled in my career. I'm loving my son and so glad I had my baby, but I was not fulfilled in my career. And even more so after I had him, I wasn't fulfilled in my career because I
yeah.
wanted to be more present for him. So
Hmm.
really figure out what it is and go on an exploration. And if you have to change some things in your life, do it. Do it, and do it for you unapologetically, authentically, and really be real with yourself before you start to compare what you feel
Yes.
like is good for other people may be good for you.
Make it good for you. There's a
Yeah.
reason, and just to add that, add that, and Tracy, you could appreciate this point because even when it comes to marriage, um, there's a reason why many marriages end in divorce. There's a reason why 60% of Christian marriages end in divorce
Mm-hmm.
because so many people think it's what I'm supposed to do. They
Mm-hmm.
get with these people and they find out, whoopsies, maybe not this person, or maybe this was not for me.
Yeah.
So, again, the glass, I always say the glass always looks full on the other side, or the grass always look greener. I'm sorry, the grass always look greener on the other side. But I
Mm-hmm.
like to say, little did you know it was astroturf. Okay. So
Right.
so be careful what you think you want because
Right.
you see what other people have, because 9 times out of 10, it's not what you think it is. It's not that
Absolutely.
perfect relationship that's going to make you happy. I tell anybody, I've been married for, it's going to be 34 years in June. If I would never lie and tell somebody else it's been perfect. We have had our ups and downs. As a matter of fact, the term that was used for our marriage was hurricanes. We were able to name all the hurricanes from A to, I think we're up to T right now. But there's been a lot of hurricanes in our relationship. But thank God we were able to get through that. That's why we share so much. That's why
Yeah.
we do marriage counseling. That's why we do marriage summits, and that's why we wrote our book, because we wanted people to know it's not, it takes work, it
Yeah.
takes investment, and it takes a level of commitment that is very serious, that you're just not going to go down the road of divorce. So
Yeah.
that's
And
why I'm able to be okay, good in my marriage now.
yeah, and I want to say that for all of those things, right? Like when you think about having children as well, right? It's a commitment and it's dedication and it takes time and patience. And so you have to think about, are you there? And is that what you really want? With a career,
Yes,
it's the same thing, right? Like all of these things require some level of commitment and dedication, and you have to really decide if that's the right thing for you.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
absolutely. So we're going to talk now about our hot topic, if you guys have all been following. So everybody, is where is Kate Middleton?
Where's Kate?
I don't know.
I need my magnifying glass. Where is Kate?
Exactly. Where is Kate Middleton? There has been speculation about where she has been. The news has been in a frenzy talking about her doctoring a photo, which she has now apologized for,
She
that was
really did
showing
it,
her.
right? She really doctored it. Okay.
She
Wow.
really did. She apologized for it, so she really did. But they said that it showed her celebrating the UK Mother's Day with her children. So now there's some speculation around, what's happening with her and the prince's marriage. So what is the deal? We want to know what's happening with Kate Middleton. But they were seen together. I think that was today or yesterday. I'm not sure. Or Monday. Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday was Monday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday was Monday. So they were seen together yesterday. Um, but more to come on that. We'll have to see what happens with Cade and where this all goes, because there's also speculation about the prince and his affairs, literally. So, so
I
we'll
tell
see what
you,
happens there.
it's one of those, the apple don't fall far from the tree. I mean, it's like history repeating itself.
Yeah.
These arranged marriages, and I know we don't want to believe that these marriages are arranged, but they
Hmm.
really are. They
Hmm.
really are. They both King Charles now and now Prince, William, they've all had very serious relationships with the quote unquote wrong people.
Hmm.
And I love, that's why I so appreciate and respect um, Prince Harry, for making his decisions,
Hmm.
because as they call it, as they call them, it's the what do they call them? They call the monarchy, that everybody, the people in charge of the monarchy, I forget the word they use.
Mm.
The system, I forget the word they use. Nick, tell me the word, because the word they use,
What
that
you're
the
referring
people,
to.
the people that control this, they,
The
they look at,
parliament?
huh?
The parliament?
Not the parliament. It's called
Hmm.
something about the people that control the monarchy. And
Mm.
um, I want to call it like the community, and it's not the community, it's something else. I'm gonna get the word. I'm gonna get the word. Anyway,
It's
those
like
people,
Illuminati
right,
in
right.
the
That's who they are. That's exactly what it is. The Illuminati, the institution, right? The institution.
UK.
I think there's
Gotcha.
another word, but anyway, let's say Illuminati, whatever they
Mhm.
are.
Mhm.
Those people that control the monarchy, they know these relationships that they have, and they decide, well, that's not the woman for you.
Mm.
He was, everybody tells you he was in love with Camilla. I'm
Mm.
talking about, King Charles. And they
Yeah.
said that she's not the one. She doesn't have the right look. She doesn't have the right background. She doesn't have the right family. So they went and found Diana. He was never in love with Diana. He was always in love with Camilla. And
Mm.
now to come to find out, now they're gonna make her Queen Camilla. Now she Queen Camilla. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and now the same thing with William. William had a girlfriend that he was in love with. And from what I understand, she's never left the picture. Now they put
Mm.
her, she was tucked away so that she wouldn't rise up like they did with Diana. They made her disappear almost. But life has a way of you refining who you want. And I
Yeah.
believe that's happening again, and that's sad because similar to Diana, now you are kind of stuck in this. Do I stay in this relationship or do I leave? And as
Yeah.
much as we think we can live through these things, we can't.
Right.
When the average woman is not made this way. I was just talking to my, Charlene, my bestie, and we was talking about Sister Wives, and she said, I've never seen it, but she said she got hooked on it
Mm.
because she wanted to see it. Is this possible? Because they promote Sister Wives as we can make this really does work, but
Mm.
it totally collapsed. She said everybody collapsed. And at the end of the day, each woman was watching the other woman and was sizing them up. And at
Mm.
the end of the day, they was jealous of each other. They didn't want to be with each other. They was counting how many times he went to that person's bedroom and not their bedroom. So at the end of the day, this whole concept that I could have another woman doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And because I think naturally we want the person we want. So here we go now with William and Kate, and they're stuck in this relationship with now 3 kids. And what are they gonna do? What is Kate gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah. What can she do, right? Um, and I don't know what their rules are, and I'm putting my quotes up there, but I don't know what their rules are on, her leaving the royal family. We know it was hard for Diana, right? We've heard those stories. So, we want to make sure that Kate is protected in all of this. But, at some point, you have to start to release people, let them go, let them move on, and let even young Prince Charles be happy, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
let them get to it. And one of the things that Diana, when and God bless her, I mean, so sad that she's not with us anymore. But they had said one of the things she insisted that she kept her title.
Mm.
And that's why she was still being able, and that was, and she insisted that, and she was able to insist that because of she was not the one, and then committed adultery. It was him. But they did say that would never happen again. The way
Mm.
she left and what she was promised would never happen again.
Wow.
That's why Meghan was not able to, and they actually stripped Harry of his title, and
Hmm.
so they did the same with Meghan. They did say his son, their son, would is in line and would have the title. Both the son and the daughter. They had to give both the son and the daughter the titles,
Hmm.
but Meghan and Harry had to relinquish theirs.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see that if Kate would even be allowed to keep her princess status,
Yeah.
and what would happen if she decided to leave the monarchy. But it does show you that the institution, thank you, Nick, for that, that the institution needs to come into the 21st century and
Hmm.
stop forcing these relationships, but allow the people to be the people and accept what they have, and let them represent who they represent. So kudos to Harry for following his heart and protecting his family. And now, maybe they're not living with the with all of the, all of the pomp and circumstance that the monarchy gives you, but I think they're happier people for it. So
Yeah, yeah. And that goes with the question too, right? Like he changed his situation because he didn't agree with, what being a part of the royal family called for his life.
right,
So he changed the
right,
situation. So I love that as the example too, right? Is that was a great question today, and all things coming together, right? Like take
right,
a page from Prince Harry's book. He decided to change his situation because he didn't like what his society, the UK society, was telling him how he had to live.
yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah. So we're talking about hidden figures today. And you mentioned Princess Diana, which, is a hidden figure, just as you were telling her story about her deciding to step up and require that she kept her title, you know, um, kudos to her, right? She was a hidden figure. So I just wanted to mention that
yeah.
as we were speaking about her because she really did make waves. Um,
She made waves in such
yeah.
good ways, and and she was the, if you remember, she was really one of the pioneers to really bring AIDS to the forefront and
Mhm.
force people to deal with the epidemic of AIDS and
Yeah.
bring and bring the medicines and really bring this the cures to the forefront, but not to. But she was so against the shunning of so many people. The AIDS ravaged so many. The African community. It
Mhm.
ravaged the gay and lesbian community, and so many people were hiding from it. And as other people, started, getting AIDS, now it was like, look, this is not a African disease. This is not a gay and lesbian disease. This is a disease, global disease that anyone could get.
Yeah.
And she was so much in the forefront of that. So and her work and her other philanthropy work, but that was the one of the biggest causes she was just always behind.
Mm.
So the need for, so her ability to keep her title was, she understood, and I want to bring this, she understood the influence that title would give her
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
she can make a difference. She wasn't using it for fame and fortune. She was using it for influence in a very positive way. So I
Yeah.
think, like you said, that hidden figure, and just the, even in her softness, she was able to produce such a large impact. And,
Yeah.
and, and the institution didn't like that. They
Mhm.
didn't like, she was, and she, when she died, even now, she was the most popular person in the monarchy, and they would
Yeah.
say, um, um, for she's probably still the most famous person in the monarchy
Yeah.
for 200 years. I mean, she is still that person that everybody associates the monarchy with, is
Yeah.
Princess Diana.
Yeah. And I think that's just going to continue, right? People are
Yeah,
going to want to hear her story. They're going to want to know more about her. So I love that also in regards to Princess Diana. But we're talking about hidden figures today. So women in history that have made a difference and that have made waves. And sometimes they got the recognition and sometimes they didn't. But before we get into the topic fully, we're just going to take a quick commercial break and then we will be right back.
hello. hello, hello.
And we are
Those-
back. And we are back. So, we want to talk about some hidden figures in history. Now, of course, I'm sure by now most of you have probably seen the movie Hidden Figures. And if you haven't, please go back and watch it. It was
Mhm.
about three women, and really, we want to say kudos to all of the women, even though we didn't know the names of a lot of the women. There was a full female staff, right, at NASA that were human computers, right?
That bugged me out when they said that human computers, and I said, "Is that what that always meant?" And it is what it always meant. We
That
never, when I heard that for the first time, I said, "Who would have thought that's what it actually meant?" But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And nobody really highlights all of the women that were behind the three
yeah,
famous women, right? But there were, just a lot of women that were behind the efforts at NASA. But just to mention the three that you know about, right? Katherine Johnson, who was the mathematician who did the calculations that were critical
Mhm.
for the success of, space flights and the launches and getting it right and making sure that our astronauts went up into space and came back So we want to mention Katherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, and she was the aerospace engineer and mathematician at NASA. And she was the first African American engineer at the agency. So I want to just
Mm.
mention that as well. Yeah, absolutely. And then Dorothy Vaughan was a mathematician and computer programmer who worked for NASA. And she was the first African American woman to supervise a
Mm.
group or staff at the agency. So want to mention them because we want to give them their accolades and go out and see the movie if you haven't already seen it. Um, but I wanted to mention some others. I was just doing a little bit of research. Now, when you look for hidden women figures, those three are going to come up because they got the recognition through the movie. But there
Right.
was a excuse me, an Austrian-born woman who her name was Hedy Lamarr, and she was an actress and an inventor. She is the woman who co-developed an early technique for spectrum communications and frequency. So she is
Wow.
one of the reasons why we have Wi-Fi today, modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technology.
Wow.
And this is something to mention too, right? Her accolades were not recognized until after she died. So she died in 2000, and she was recognized when she was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2014.
Wow.
So to think that she had this groundbreaking wireless technology and she didn't get noticed for it until after death. So I wanted to mention that about her. And then I had one more, Rosalind Franklin, who was British born. Now, she died back in 1958, but another woman who did not get any type of recognition until after she died. She was a chemist whose work was on the X ray diffraction images of DNA. And she was one of
Mm.
the critical people who started
Oh.
to understand the double helix structure of DNA. So she's the
Mm.
one who brought that about, even though the accolades went to two males, James Watson, actually three, I'm sorry, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins, and they received Nobel Prizes back in 1962 for physiology and medicine. But she
Wow.
was the person who started those efforts, and they recognized her, once they got the Nobel Prize. But that Nobel Prize, of course, went to the three men. So I just wanted to mention that because here are, you
Mm.
know, women who made real strides in science and technology, and they did not get the recognition that they deserved until after death. And I would even say probably not even what they really deserved.
For
What they
sure.
really deserved.
For sure. I have one too.
Sure.
And again, her name is Jane Bolin.
Mm,
And Jane Matilda Bolin was an American attorney and judge. She
mm.
was the first Black woman to graduate from Yale Law School and the first to join the New York City Bar Association.
I
The
love that.
first. And
Ooh,
one of the other things that she is known to be is she broke many boundaries, but the most famous one is being named the first Black woman judge in America in 1939.
ooh,
Again, another person that broke barriers,
yeah.
especially being able to graduate from Yale Law School.
Mm,
Even today, it's not easy to get into if you're a person of color or even not color, it's still not easy to get into Yale Law School or
Hmm.
Harvard Law School. But she was able to not just get in there, but graduate and become the first in New York City Bar Association. So, thinking about all the women that are part of the New York Bar Association now, all of the women judges. One of my good friends, she was a judge out in Seattle, Washington for many years. To know that that she paved the way to become the first African American judge is just to me just tremendous, just tremendous. So Jane Bolin. So remember that hidden figure in our history.
Yeah. And as we always do on this show, if there are hidden figures in your life, in your community, because we don't want to just recognize the ones that are famous, we want to recognize, the women that are paving the way in their communities for other people and thinking about those who are coming behind them or doing something for the first time. Please share that with us because we want to recognize the people that are out there making a difference that we won't ever see on, social media or the news. It won't come up on Google, but someone who's really making a difference. Please share their names and give us part of their story, and we will definitely mention them right here on Fem Talk.
Yeah, yeah. And I think those are kind of things that we need to continue to bring to the forefront. I mentioned, and I'm going to keep on mentioning it because um, I mentioned last week Ari Chambers. Again, she is just continuing to break barriers when it comes to women's sports. One of the things that I was just so excited about when it comes to women's sports this season, collegiate women's basketball has exceeded
Mm.
viewership of male collegiate basketball, and that's unheard of.
Mm.
Unheard of. The women that are, with the women that are just taking over in collegiate sports is just tremendous. I mean, they're selling out arenas that they've never sold out. You can't even get a ticket to the University of South Carolina, any of their games. They just are sold out.
Mm.
And that is, and it's these barriers, because when we start breaking barriers, the equality, because still, when we talk about women's sports and soccer, women that play soccer, basketball, you name it, they're not even, the disparity in what they get paid and what other people get paid is just, and what men get paid is tremendous.
Yeah.
So when you talk about these women leaders, I always continue to lift her up. I call her the GOAT of women's sports at this point, because she's bringing the stories to the forefront. She's bringing these women's stories, and I think it's getting to know the people out there, the women out there that are playing these sports, that are breaking these barriers, that are really opening up opportunities for so many other people in women's sports. So once again, Ari Chambers is out there as would highlight her and really putting people on the forefront in terms of women's sports. So kudos to that. Like you said, is sometimes the people that are just doing what they need to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And kudos to her for the bravery, right? And for taking the steps, right? And jumping in and making waves and creating her own space because I've seen her on social media too. She's creating her own space, really. I feel like she kind of made that what it is, right? She made it what it is and is now taken and has been recognized for it and taken it by storm. So kudos to Ari for that because that was something that she created on her own and it took flight.
And she really did. And let me say this, because what gets lost is the price you pay when you pave the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it. If anybody watched Hidden Figures, you saw the racism these women had to face.
Yeah.
When I talk about the women Jane Bolin, and when you talked about the other the inventors that you mentioned, they didn't even get the recognition. The racism is still real.
And the
I was
sexism, right?
racism, the sexism. Ari was sharing. She went out to one of the states and was covering some of the sports, and she showed me some of the racist comments that was being that she was facing after attending one of the events in another part of the country, in another state,
Mm,
and I was blown away. I was blown away because they were doing it on social media, and social media now, if they see that you're making racist comments, will stop it. But what they've done is they've taken certain words and not making it sound racist, but it's very so they'll take they'll call you a name, and they don't call you the racist name,
mhm.
and you can imagine what I'm talking about, but they'll call you
Yeah,
something very similar to it so that social media doesn't pick it up, because they have algorithms now to pick up those kind of comments. So they
yeah,
kind of twisted the name enough so that social media wouldn't pick it up in the algorithm, but you just reading it, they was like calling her, calling her names. And
yeah,
I was shocked. I was shocked to think that in this day and age that she was getting that attack. She was getting an attack about
mm,
her hair. She was getting an attack about, the quality of her hair. She was getting an attack about who she was. And I was just, I was flabbergasted. So the attack that these trailblazers take in order to blaze the way is real.
yeah,
And I think that in this day and time, us as women have to have a level of courage, because it's going to take courage and resilience to kind of stand against these things. That
yeah,
those are two of the characteristics we even talked about, right? At the summit, it was that
yeah,
as leaders, we have to have a level of resilience. We have to have a level of courage, because we are going to face and face an attack.
yeah,
We're going to be attacked. People are going to talk about us. They're going to talk about our hair. They're going to talk about our skin color. They're going to talk about how we speak. They're going to talk about anything they can to disparage our message, let people forget the message and look at the messenger.
mhm,
Anything to divide and conquer is still going to happen. So when you have people that are courageous enough to take these steps, we need to support them. We need to get and rally behind them, because there's a price they're paying for doing this.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier, the disparity in the pay, right, for women versus men, and
Hmm.
it's 82 cents on the dollar
Mm.
for women versus men. This is as of 2022. So, that's only 2 years ago where we had that census.
And
So
I
now,
bet you, Tracy, if for Black women, it's probably a lot less than
yeah,
82 cents. I would go, I bet you it's like 60 cents on the dollar when in comparison to a Black woman.
yeah,
So I think when we understand that, we understand what the fight is. And the
yeah,
fight is big. The fight is not just for the money. It's not just for the recognition. It's also for our bodies. You know what I'm saying? The fight to have the right to do whatever we want to our bodies.
yeah,
It's coming against everything about a woman, you
yeah,
know, mind, body, and soul, and we really need to support and fight the attack, fight back.
yeah. We have to push back. We have to because, if you paying attention to what's happening in the country right now, right, and just thinking about, the up and coming election that's going to take place, we definitely as women need to continue to fight and be courageous and push forward and lock arms to join together because no one person can really do it alone and really affect change. So we need to be mindful of that and continue to join together to make waves because it's gotten better but it's not there yet, right? So we want to make sure that we are continuing the fight, and that's why we're here. That's why Fem Talk exists, right? We want to talk
Yes.
about things that people are afraid to talk about, so this is why we bring these things up.
You know,
So
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say,
no, go
you
ahead.
I just got my newest edition of the Oprah magazine, and the magazine is about menopause.
Mm,
And we're seeing all of this. There's now a new test out there to test that you're on menopause. But I want to say this, and kudos for groundbreaking of Fem Talk. Fem Talk has been talking about menopause for a few years now,
it sure has.
and we have not pushed the issue. We have gotten conversations about it. We brought doctors on about it. We have
Mm,
been having the conversation about the hot flashes and how do you deal with that, and the different things are going on. So I even see what we Tracy, what through Fem Talk, what we have been doing, what and your and this is your baby. So the groundbreaking avenues you have done just to bring conversations to the public, to have
mm,
these outward conversations about what's affecting us as women. So
yeah.
kudos to you, Tracy, as being that trailblazer. Because I had to chuckle. I said, "Okay, Oprah, you're 3 years late because we talked about it 4 years ago."
First
Okay,
season.
the first season,
That's
we've
right.
been dealing with these things, and we were not trying to shove it under the rug, but we said, "Come on," because these are the conversations, right, that we
Yeah,
didn't have back in the day. So we're having them now. So
that's
thank
right.
you, Miss Trailblazer Tracy, for bringing these conversations to the public, to
Yes.
the women, to the men, and having us talking about it.
And I
From
want to
that
say
to
too,
yeah.
I want to say too, just think about how powerful women really are, right?
Mhm,
You heard
mhm.
Dr. Melissa just talking about menopause, and you think about even, the process of, getting pregnant and giving birth, right? And we still continue as women to empower other women, to focus on our careers, to focus on our businesses, to focus on our households. Just really think about that. Think about how powerful women are, and then think about putting women in positions, right, that are going to help you move, your business to the next level, your life, your household to the next level. Because if we can work all of this out through menopause and through childbirth, we got something special. That's
What? What? Who you
yes,
telling?
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, just to tell so many stories of what so many women have gone through and endured. And
That's
like you
right.
said, and still on the phone trying to handle the business. I always say I could run the world with my phone because, in spite of pain, in spite of, um, negativity, in spite of what you face, we still push on. We push
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
So I think that's what we need to kind of always remember, continue to support,
yeah,
and continue to lift up these hidden figures. And I don't even think they're as hidden as they used to be. When you see a woman trying to do the right thing, just support.
yeah.
We don't need to comment. We don't need to backlash. We don't need to talk about. No, just support. Just
That's
support.
right.
Just
That's right.
because, just support. So
And I
you
would
know,
say to the women out there too, go out there and look for things like the Girl Bossed Up Leadership Summit. Go out there and look for, things that resonate with you, where you want to assist, where you want to make a change, where you want to impact the world, where you want to help someone else and change their lives. So just go out and seek it, right? Seek the things
mhm.
that you really want for your life, and, seek service, right? Be a servant leader out there as well, so that you can help impact the life of another woman and her family. You can, because listen, when women make moves and they make impact, they change their families and then they change communities. So
Yes,
go out there and yeah, hey there, Jamie Lane. Jamie Lane is live here. Another radical woman out there making waves.
yes,
Absolutely. So we love you all out there. We thank you for being here. We are wrapping up this Tuesday, but we wanted to celebrate the beautiful women. It is still Women's History Month. So we wanted to celebrate those hidden figures and celebrate the women out there that are making a difference. Continue to do so. Stand encouraged, be empowered, and lock arms with other amazing women that are going to help you get there. Take care.